Hello, this is Christy. In this video, which I don't do a lot of these, but I'm going to show you how to design this puzzle in Xara Designer Pro X. And it's very easy to do. It's very easy to follow this tutorial. And if you needed a puzzle for any reason, this is going to be a great way to learn how to do it. We will take advantage of this tutorial to show a little bit how the pen tool works. And if you look at this one, every piece of this puzzle is separate. So they fit together, but they are separate. And also they are all vector. So you can scale them, you can rotate them, you can change the color, you can do whatever you like, even take a photo and break it apart into these pieces to make a nice puzzle. Even if you want to use it for an illustration or a design or a poster, or as I'll do in another video, how to put them into an animation into Camtasia or a video editing software like they are here. So if you need a puzzle for any of that purpose, you can start here in Xara. So I'm going to start a new document right here. I'm going to make it landscape. And I'm going to start with a rectangle. So this is going to be the outer area of my puzzle. If you want to have precise control over this, you can change its size from the unit dimension unit here. And I'm just going to go freehand here. So this is my starting square rectangle, sorry. And let's make this white with a dark black outline. I'm going to make the outline a bit thicker so it's easier to see. So the way to do a puzzle is, first you need to decide what is how many tiles you want, how many pieces you want in your puzzle. Like I showed you in my example here, I'm going to use 9 pieces. I'm going to make 9 pieces of this. So because it's a landscape, we're going to split it into 9 pieces. You can do 4 only, so you're just going to cut it in half both ways, but it's up to you. I want to show you with 9 pieces because then we will see how we can split more pieces. So to start with, this rectangle here is a vector shape. I'm going to draw 3 lines actually on vertically. So let's draw a line here. Click on this. You go to the pen tool here, or the shape tool. You can use this tool, straight line tool, to draw a straight line if you want, like this. It doesn't have to be vertical, but if you want it to be vertical, hold down the control key while you drag. And I'm going to do another one here and another one here. And actually I did say 3 lines. It's actually 4 lines because I'm going to split it into 9 pieces. So as you can see here, this is mostly like a grid to help me see where the pieces are. So try and make them equal. Of course, if you want to do this in a different way, you can put these and kind of slant them like this and kind of make some funny shaped pieces. That is up to you how you want to do it. The principle is the same. So now what we need to do in Xara is we need to slice this up into 9 pieces. But of course, that wouldn't be a puzzle really, unless you want the puzzle to not have those parts where they fit together. So these curvy bits. So what we will do is we will take 1 line only. That's all we need really to create those. So I'm going to choose this vertical one. And I'm going to zoom in here. And now is the moment when we switch to the shape tool, this one. You can press F4 or switch to this. So this tool allows you to edit shapes or lines in using Bezier curves or nodes. So before you switch to that, make sure that you select this line, the vertical line, and then switch to the line tool, the shape tool, sorry. And then this is the part we will be working on. This is the vertical part of the first piece. So what I want to do is I want to break this line, but not completely break it. I want to add more nodes to it so that I can pull out that round sort of enclosing line in here. So I'm going to click here once to add a node. So on the line, you notice the cursor changes. Click here to add a node and click again lower to add another node. So now if you zoom in, you notice we have 2 new nodes in here. And if I place my cursor in the middle of this line and not click but drag, click to drag, you will see now that I'm bending this line and creating that round bit. Don't worry, it's not round yet because we will need to shape it a little bit. So just release it around here. You know, depends how deep you want your cut in to be, like that. Now you notice there are two lines here that show you the direction of the Bezier arc. Starting from these dots, these nodes we created, this is the line that defines this curve. And this other line from this other node defines this curve. So we have it here is an arc. But I actually want to make the top wider. So this is very easy to do. Just grab one of the lines and pull away. And grab the other one and pull away as well. You notice how the shape now becomes more realistic, closer to what we want it to be. Of course, I think it needs to be even wider, like this, and wider down like this. Okay, it may be a little bit too deep, so you can pull it back down a bit. You notice this line reacts to your moving of this handle. This is called Bezier editing. So I'm happy with my shape here. It doesn't have to be symmetrical. You can make it symmetrical if you want, but it doesn't have to be. It can be funny shaped. And now for the final touch, I want to make these little corners here rounded, not sharp like this. Again, this is up to you if you want to do this, but if I look at a puzzle piece, usually this corner is rounded to avoid, you know, kind of breaking it, or, you know, so it's smoother. So the way to do that is I need to add two more nodes, one here on the curve bit and one here. So again, I'm not switching the tools at all. I just keep using the shape tool and kind of go here, click once to add a node, and go inside here and click once again to add a node. So now on every side of this node that I added initially, I have two nodes. I can click on the node here, the pointy part, and delete. Press delete, and now I have this line uniting these two nodes that I created. All I have to do now is click and drag to make this nice and rounded like that. So you notice now this is very cool. Let's do the same here, and I may have a surprise. Again, click on this one to add a node, click on this one to add a node, and now you can delete this node here like that. Now watch what happens. If I try and make this curvy, you may notice that the line moves with it. The reason for that is this node here is not a sharp node, and it inherits the angle of that curve bit. So if you drag one, the other side moves with it. So that is not what we want. So to prevent this line from moving like this, you see it's not, I don't like it because it's disturbing my my arc there. So I'm going to click undo and undo. We can go to this node here that shares this angle and double click on it. That will turn it. If you look on here, now it's a cusp join instead of a smooth join. So that's what makes this node independent now. Look, I'm changing this corner here to make it rounded, and it's no longer affecting the other side because my shape is now my join on this node is a cusp join, which means every piece of this, of every side of this curve can move independently. If I double click again, it moves it back to a smooth node, and watch what happens. It just reverts back to a unique angle. So now both of them move the same. So just, you know, that's one thing to remember. Make sure that when you try and move it like this, it is a cusp join, not a smooth join, because that will let you move this independently. If you want to move this a bit outside and then back in here just to make it nice and rounded, you are free to do so. So here we go. So now this is one part of my shape, and we will go down on the next piece. So now this one is going to be on the right side, right? So we want them to alternate. The first one is on the left, the second one on the right. Again, we do the same thing. Notice, you know, remember this is the same line going all the way down, so we don't have to change the selection. Just need to go around this area, click on it to add a node, click again to add a node, pull the curve out, make it wider, pull these handles like this, and then finally zoom in, click again on every side of this node, delete the pointy node in between, and make it curvy. Same thing in this side, click and click, delete the pointy, and now when you pull it, it's gonna do the same thing. Look, you see one of the nodes always keeps a smooth node in it. So before you do, just double click on it to isolate it and pull it out again. Then there. So there we go. We've done the second one. I'm gonna do the third one. You know the drill. Click and click, pull it out, make it wider here, and now back in here, click to remove, delete this node, make it round. Again, I forgot, double click and then round that corner. Same thing in here, like this, and rounded corner. It's all pretty much freestyle, freehand, no problem. You notice one of them is smaller than the other one. Okay, if you want to fix this, it's up to you. I may actually make this smaller because I don't want it to be so stretched. If you need to go back on one of them and you don't see those handles, click the node and you will see always the handles adjacent to that node. So you can always go back in and adjust. This is the beauty of editing vectors with Beziers, because you can always change it to be exactly how you want it to be. Right, so let's suppose that we are happy with this. So of course, I'm not going to spend the same amount of time doing it on all of the other lines. All I can do is just, before I go into the next step, just duplicate this. So right click and you can duplicate it. If the duplicate function is no longer in this menu here, you will find it in the edit menu, duplicate. Or you can press Ctrl-Alt-D. So now I made a copy of this. I'm going to move it right here. And notice I'm keeping the inside on the same side here, and delete the initial line that I created there. So now I have two of them. You can actually flip it vertically if you want to add a bit of variation to the size here. Flip it vertically. Don't worry about the placement. We will get to those in a second. And so if you zoom in here, you may see, oh, this is too close to the top maybe. With this selected, go back to the shape tool and you need to select these nodes, these two nodes, and these two nodes. So just drag around and select the nodes. You will see they turn red, and now you can move them around or use the arrow keys to move them down, lower or higher. Or you can move them like this, but you're going to change the line. So that is up to you if you want to do that. And the same thing here, if you just select the two of them, you want to close the gap a bit, you can select them, select this one and close the gap. You know, up to you again, how big you want it, and so on. So now let's see, I'm going to copy this again and make it on, replace these horizontal ones. So I'm going to copy this, Ctrl-Alt-D to duplicate, and use the rotation here for 90 degrees, and then move it here in the middle. Of course, this is not going to work very well because you see it's not long enough here. It's not wide enough. So I'm going to have to move these nodes here. So with this line selected that I just turned around, go back to the shape tool again, select the start of the line. You notice the node is here, and the next two groups, because that's the cut in here that I need to move. So select everything like this. Everything you select inside of this will select the nodes, and use the left arrow key to just move this and slide it out. And you notice now the cutout is in the middle sort of, and then the edge of the end of the line is outside, which is what we want. And again, we do this here. If I want this to be a little bit to the right, select these nodes at the base and slide it. And finally this one here, select these nodes, and this little node at the end, which is the end of my line. Again, use the arrow keys to just slide it until it fits in position where you want it to be. And now use the selection tool to select this inside line that we had before and delete it. So now we have that one here, and I'm going to do the same here. I'm just going to copy this, Control Alt D to duplicate, and move it down here. Again, if you want to have variation, you can flip it horizontally. So now you can see that it's kind of more random like this. Again, use the shape tool. If you want to adjust anything like the placement of this one here, just move it to the right. This one, move it a bit to the right. And finally, this one here, if you want to move it, it looks fine to me, but anyway. Okay, now use the selection tool on the line that we had before and delete that as well. So there you go, we are partway there. But what happens now? We need to cut out these from the initial shape, right? So the initial shape is white, you know, purple, whatever color you want. It doesn't matter what color it is. But notice that these are just lines. So what we need to do now is use these lines to cut into the shape. How to do that? Well, let's try and do it horizontally first. Click on this line and hold down the Shift key and select the background rectangle. Click like this. So now we have two objects. What I want to do is I'm going to right click anywhere and use the combine shapes function to say slice or cut shapes. What's going to happen is the line with the curvy cutouts is going to be cut out of the background rectangle. Click on this, right? So what we have now is two shapes. If I move it, you're going to see it. Look, it's here. And one lower shape, which is this one. Let me undo, put them back in. So now this is the first cut. Of course, we need to cut this second half also. So select the second half, click on the second half, which is now, let me just use color to illustrate. This is now yellow. So you notice the yellow and green at the top. So we already have two shapes we can color independently. Now I'm going to split the lower half as well. Again, you click on this and hold down the Shift key and select the line we're going to use to cut out. Right click again, combine shapes, slice and cut like this. See how you can do it? So now we have another shape here that is a different color. So what we need to do now is just cut the other two. I'm going to do that in one step. You can select all of them, click and shift click to the other line, and shift click on the green, shift click on the yellow, shift click on the purple. So all of my shapes are now selected. You can even go around and just select everything like this. Right click, combine shapes, slice, cut shapes. See what this does? It actually doesn't do it. So that's why you need to do it separately. If it doesn't cut everything, again, you can just select everything that's left. So this line on the left. So now I have this one. It's red, whatever color. It's orange. I'm just going to change the colors for each one so that we can see the individual pieces. These are still not cut yet. So I'm going to select all of them, select the line, right click, combine shapes and slice cut. So now we have a cut through all of them. Notice that the line that was going outside of the shape has gone. So we just use that shape to cut out all of these shapes. So we use that line to create a cut. It's like a laser beam if you want. So let's make different colors here. So just to illustrate that they are all now independent shapes. So there you have it. This is the puzzle we've created. Every piece is individual now, and it is a vector shape that we can use to design a nice puzzle, or we can export every piece individually from Xara to vector format such as SVG, EPS, Adobe Illustrator format. So they are vector formats and they can be imported into other software. And also you can export them as transparent PNGs if you want to use them as a kind of a mask, let's say in Camtasia, which is going to be a video I'm going to do next. So there you have it. Now let's undo this, and just to play with this puzzle, I'm going to see if I can make this puzzle out of a photo. So I'm going to import a photo. So So there it is. This is a photo I want to cut into a puzzle. The way to do this in Xara is actually, if I have 9 pieces of my puzzle, I need to obviously cut this into 9 pieces. But watch what happens if I resize this to cover the puzzle and Control B to move it behind, and let me select every piece of the puzzle here, Shift key, and remove the color and make a white line. There you have it. So this is going to show me how the picture will fit the puzzle. So you may want to maybe resize this a bit like that, and kind of, you know, have pieces of the puzzle that actually don't, you know, they're not like, you know, blank sky or something, because they will be supposedly hard to fit. And now when I've decided what my final position is going to be, what I need to do is I need to intersect this photo with every piece and create the puzzle. But watch what happens if I take the top left piece here. I'm going to color this in white just so you can see it, and hold down the Shift key, select the photo. If I right click now and say Combine Shapes Intersect, watch what happens. The photo did fit inside of this shape, you know, the portion of the photo that was enclosed, but then I lost the rest of my photo. So I still have the pieces here. So if I select everything and give them like a black outline, I still have the pieces here, but I don't have the photo. So if I bring the photo in again, I'm going to lose the placement. I will have to, you know, replace the photo and make it, you know, fit, and that's going to not be accurate. So what I want to do is, before I start cutting the photo, I need to make 9 copies of it. Well, 8 copies, because I already have one. So to do that, click on the photo, Control Alt D to duplicate. So I'm going to do this exactly 8 times. And with each copy, I'm going to just put it back on top of the previous photo, right? So notice that Xara does a little snapping. So I've got the 3rd one now, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7, 8, and 9. Okay, so all of my photos are now duplicated. I have 9 photos. You can click each one of them and Control B to move it to the back until you see your puzzle pieces again. Click and Control B, click Control B, so you're moving all the photos in the back. So now it's very easy to do, because all we do is just select each piece of the puzzle, hold down the Shift key, select one photo, right click, Combine, Intersect. Select the second piece, click, right click, Combine, Intersect. And we are doing the same operation 9 times. Every time we do this, we actually intersect or create a clipping mask, really, from the shape and the photo like this. So make sure that when you do it on the ones in the middle, you don't actually accidentally click on the piece that is above like that, because that's going to mess up with your, you're going to cut that again. So click on the piece, click inside the piece to find the actual piece of the photo that goes with it. So click the piece, Shift key, inside the piece to get the photo, Combine, Intersect. So it helps you if the photo is, the piece is transparent or it doesn't have any fill, because then you can click through it and select the element behind it. So nearly there. Final piece, final photo, intersect. There we go. So now you notice that now you can slightly see a little bit of the outline there because of the pixel aliasing. But if I zoom in, you can actually see where the photo is being cut. And now watch what happens. If I take them away, all of the pieces of the photo move with this, with the pieces. So there you go. So that's great. So we've made a puzzle out of a photo. And if you want to play with these, you know, you can use them on a poster or an illustration or a greeting card, whatever you want to do to illustrate a nice nice effect. You can even rotate the pieces, you know, just make them look a bit random and thrown on the table here. And also you can give this whole thing a bit of dimension by giving it a bit of depth if you want. You can select all of them and use the shadow tool and just create a bit of shadow and move it a bit inside. Maybe make it darker like this, and you know, blurrier, whatever you want to do. Just give it a bit of a dimension. There you go. So there's a puzzle made of a photo. That was not very hard. You can play with this. Okay, so in the next video, I'm going to make an animation in Camtasia, if you are using Camtasia, of this kind of puzzle that animates to assemble a nice looking photo at the end. So, you know, I'm going to show you a new function that is in Camtasia 2021, which is called the media mat, and that makes it very easy to do this kind of effect there. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. It's a little long. I'm sorry about this, but I hope you learned something using the shape tool in Xara Designer Pro, combining tools, and how the Bezier curves work. And if you find this useful, like it, share it, subscribe to my channel, and see you next time.